There are some places you visit, and then there are places you chase. For years, I've seen them in photos. Waves of green light dancing across the sky like something out of a dream. The kind of thing that makes you stop scrolling and just stare. So this time, instead of watching from a screen, I came all the way north to Yellowknife for what many others all around the world come here just to see. The Northern Lights.
I don't even know how to record this. Literally everywhere around us is... We're surrounded by the Northern Lights.
But it won't be comfortable. Negative 40-degree weather that feels like negative 50. Wearing 6 layers of clothing and still freezing your ass off. But this is my journey to see the Aurora Borealis, not through a phone screen or someone else's story, but with my very own eyes. So follow along, because just like the Northern Lights, blink or turn the wrong way, and you might just miss it. But before we begin with the nighttime activities, we started our first day at Yellowknife by saying hello to a pack of our furry friends. We found ourselves at Tuga Northern Experiences, an Indigenous family-owned business that runs dog sledding and snowshoeing tours. We learned a little bit about the history of the team and realized that they aren't just any team. These dogs were the real deal. Even getting into the sled, they were already full of energy and way more excited than us to get going. And then, we were off. Our guide warned us before we went that we were riding with 2 new younger pack leaders, so the ride might be a little more turbulent than usual. But the leaders were doing a great job as we felt the cold rushing wind across our faces. As we turn back to the other direction of the lake, you can really start to feel the cold, and covering every part of your face is a must.
Even his little fur is frozen.
Oh my goodness.
We then headed off to another part of town, to the Prince of Wales Northern Heritage Centre. It was a nice museum, sharing the history, culture, and stories for the Northwest Territories. After that, we stopped by a must-go-to restaurant in Yellowknife called Bollock's Bistro. It's a small and busy restaurant, and they've been operating for more than 30 years. They're famous for their locally caught fish and chips, and we got their grilled in canoe, and it was absolutely delicious. Now, when the night falls, everyone knows that it's time to go out Aurora hunting. But before we start, I want to go over how do you go about seeing the Northern Lights. When you search up on Google, looking for the best places to view the Aurora, you're bound to come across a PDF of the Yellowknife government-issued Safe Aurora Viewing and Parking Locations map. This is probably your bread and butter of main locations to check out when you're in Yellowknife. Along the Ingraham Trail Highway, there's a bunch of different parks and lakes that you can stop at, and this map covers most locations. Even in a tour group, unless they own their own private lot, they'll likely be at a multitude of any of these locations. But there are 4 main resources that I use that helped me out a lot and that you can consider using too. The first website I used is Astronomy North. This site has a very simple day-to-day forecast on the probability of seeing the Northern Lights during the evening and overnight. You can review it throughout the day to see if anything changed, and I found it to be fairly accurate. The second one I used is Aurora Max. This one's pretty awesome because it's a video live stream in Yellowknife that starts at around 9 p.m. every night. From the live stream, you can actually see if the northern lights are visible in the sky in real time. The third one is underrated and probably the one that most people will overlook, and that's Zoom Earth. One thing that people might forget when chasing auroras is whether or not there are clear skies where they're going. The skies might be absolutely filled with auroras, but if there are dense clouds in the sky, you won't be able to see any of them. With Zoom Earth, you can use the live satellite feature to see 10-minute intervals of where the clouds are and where they're moving. From there, you can make your own estimates on the direction you should head to avoid the clouds above. And finally, I think this one's the most useful, but also the most obvious, Google Maps. Since I was going fully self-guided, I wanted to find some backup locations that were off the beaten path while still being both safe and legal. Using the website, I turned on the satellite filter so I can see a bird's eye view of the map, and this way I'm able to drag around, finding different locations that I could possibly pull over and save potential spots that I want to see. It's important to note that at some point on the highway, you're going to lose phone signal, so I'd highly recommend downloading offline maps so that I can still navigate around. So with these resources, anyone can go without a tour group and go aurora chasing completely self-guided. This doesn't guarantee that you'll see it, since the northern lights coming out is all up to chance, but at least this way, you'll increase your probability as much as possible. And of course, if you want to use your phone to check out the forecast, probabilities, and maps, the My Aurora Forecast app is also very good, and I used it too in Yellowknife. So without further ado, we went and got started with our first official night of aurora hunting. There was a bit of nervousness and anxious excitement as we made our way through the highway, unsure of what we'll find and see over the next few hours. When you're looking for the northern lights, you had to be prepared for all situations, ready to move on the go and follow your gut. Well, my gut this night told me to avoid all parks and pull up at one of my saved locations. We parked the car, crossing our fingers, hoping that we picked the right spot. When we got out of our car and looked at the sky, to our pleasant surprise, it turned out that we picked right. Can you see it? We ended the night in awe of our luck, despite the freezing cold, -40 degrees. I think I must have been so excited to see the aurora that I ended up standing outside for more than 2 hours, not realizing how cold it was. Night 1, success.
The real MVP of the night. This bad boy right here. Even the wire is frozen.
We started off day 2 by checking out one of the local bookstores in Yellowknife. They had a lot of books written by local authors. I ended up leaving with one called Yamoria, written by George Blondin, a Dean Elder from the Northwest Territories. And this brings us to our next fun day activity of the trip, one that I've actually never done before, and one that I was looking forward to the whole trip. so sick. The snowmobiles actually go pretty fast, and when you're zipping across the lake, you really feel that cold adrenaline pumping through your body. We booked this one with Destination Northwest Territories, and they were great. The training was thorough, our guide was really nice, and as you can see, they took us across the lake and through the forest. We couldn't have picked a better day to do it. The sun was shining, we had an awesome time, and I'd highly recommend trying this out if you ever get a chance.
Is it?
Now this brings us to our second night of Aurora hunting. I think we were still riding off the highs of the night before. Yesterday when we stopped at our first and only destination, seeing it directly above us, to be quite honest, everything felt really easy. A little too easy. So tonight was the night where we were truly humbled by the reality of Aurora hunting.
What's that? Oh yeah. I feel like we'll see it at the other place that we were at yesterday. It's not as bright as yesterday though.
We probably drove up to 100 kilometers that night,
Should we get moving?
exhausting almost every stop along the way. Despite clear skies for most of the night, the auroras weren't great anywhere we
We're
went.
thinking about walking down this right here just to see the aurora better. But then we look down and then those are freaking fresh bear paws. We're parked at one of the more popular lakes right now. There's a lot of people here. Could be about 40 people. Last spot was a little sketchy, so we decided to leave. Hopefully this is a little better. Sort of unsuccessful start to the night.
After tonight, we definitely knew that our luck was running out, and that the night before was probably going to be as good as it gets. Even with my camera and astrophotography lens, I still couldn't pick things up really well. But I did manage to get a decent
figured it
time lapse
out.
captured.
Time lapse is go.
We went back to our Airbnb with the biggest reality check of Aurora hunting. But to redeem our unsuccessful night, we had a surprise visit from one of our Airbnb hosts.
Oh, there you go.
Day 3, our last day in Yellowknife. We grabbed a quick and easy breakfast at a local spot. A much needed coffee after being out all night. We then checked out the Snow King Festival, or at least the almost completed castle. The annual month-long Snow King Festival was targeted to open the day after. So unfortunately, we couldn't be there for the actual event, but it looked like things were coming along really nicely. What was crazy to me was that I realized it was all being built on top of a frozen lake. We had a bit of fun leaving our mark on the lake, which was actually a perfect segue to our last fun day activity. We got back to our car and headed to the Dettah Ice Road.
Wait, don't do that.
Open only in the winter season, once the Great Slave Lake has frozen up to a meter deep. The ice road is a 6.5 kilometer shortcut through a frozen lake that takes you directly across to Dettah. Yellowknife is full of surprises, and this is probably the most unique one. I've driven all across the world before, road trips across Scotland, Japan, Taiwan, but I don't think anything comes close to being as cool as saying that I've driven across a frozen lake.
That was it.
I gotta go a little further.
The night before really set the tone for our third and final night at Yellowknife. Throughout the day, I was double checking all of my Aurora websites looking for signs of life. The probability forecasts were so low, and leading up to the sundown, we checked the Aurora livestream. At 9 p.m, it still hadn't turned on. Whether that was because of a malfunction or a sign that there wasn't anything out there, we went out carrying a lot of doubt for what was to come.
So we stopped at this next place, a parking lot area. You can kind of see it, but it's pretty faint right now. Even my camera can't really pick it up as well.
You could barely see anything in the sky. On a trip like this, after all of the endless driving and frantic chasing, you hope to finish it with a happy ending. But not all stories end that way. And at this point, we were ready to call it a night and accept that that was going to be the end of our trip. And then, there it was.
They're going crazy right now. We hit a pretty successful pull at the pontoon lake. It's just right above us and it's crazy. It was dancing. Alright, so my camera has taken all the abuse it can. The buttons don't even work anymore. I can't even change the settings, but it's okay. We're just gonna enjoy the lights while we can. Good night, everyone.
Some things are out of our control. These moments are scarce, but that's what makes them so special. You can plan and prepare for every aspect to the minute details, but at the end of the day, you have no choice but to leave your fate to the hands of Mother Nature. Sometimes, when you hit a roadblock in life, I think you just gotta believe in a little bit of dumb luck. And as wild as it sounds, ours came in the form of a fortune cookie at our very first lunch. Yours might come in another way. So we saw it. It was everything that I hoped for, and everything more. The thing that we went all the way across the country for. The Northern Lights at Yellowknife. A dance that will never leave my head. A trip that I'll never forget. Through all the ups and downs, I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.